Thank you very much. Well, I don't know where Jim Chalmers was last Saturday. Not only did Labor not have the guts to stand...
Senator Hanson, please take your seat. Senator Polley.
My point of order is that the good senator has been in this place too long and she should already know that she refers to the Treasurer by his correct title.
Thank you. I will remind Senator Hanson to address those from the other place by their correct title.
We'll make it quite clear. Labor's Treasurer, Jim Chalmers. So I don't know where he was last Saturday. Not only did they not have the guts to stand a candidate for Farrer, but also, if we are to believe last night's performance, they have no idea what the average Australian is concerned about. We know on social policy they are hopeless. They have no intention of taking Australia back for the majority of Australians. They have no idea how angry Australians are about being welcomed to our own country. They have a deaf ear to the fact that some people will never become part of Australia if they can't speak the language or hate what Australians value most. And then we get last night, one of the most shameless performances in all budget history. No shame at admitting that our young people face budget deficits until way into the next decade. No shame that gross debt will reach $1 million next year. I repeat, $1 million. Go and tell young people that. No wonder there were no revenue projections for the next 10 years. This mob will raise even more taxes, $77 billion net tax increases next year. No shame about telling us that inflation could reach 7%, but then they have the gall to say they will help young people into houses. How the hell did they get houses with interest rates climbing to 10%? I have said before that Gough Whitlam, one of Labor's heroes, and certainly compared to this lot, a real hero. He was turfed out in a landslide defeat in 1975 because he was economically incompetent. But revenues were then 24.5% of GDP. Last night, Chalmers had no shame in announcing that the Albanese government's revenues would be 27% of GDP, and no shame in saying that there would be higher taxes over the medium term. There is nothing in this for hard-working and productive Australians, nothing. The handouts continue to renewable energy when anyone with a modicum of common sense would say scrap net zero, get out of Paris and do what this country did for years until it was overtaken by the global warming climate change hoax. Use our plentiful natural resources to deliver the kind of wealth to individuals and businesses that once used to be taken for granted, and then say emphatically that we will decide who comes to this country and no one is welcome to bring the problems they left behind into our once stable and united world. The polls say that the Albanese-Chalmers farce is supported by barely 30% of the voters. That is, 70% don't want them, and last night proved why they don't want them. One Nation will take Australia back to the majority of Australians. One Nation will educate Australians as if we do care about the next generation. That we do care about the next generation. This generation has to live within its means. The age of bribing voters has to end. The age of irresponsible spending has to end. In fact, the age of having no guts to tell Australians the true story of the mess that Labor is leaving this country must end. A government that can't tell the voters the truth does not deserve to be in government. And that brings me to the seat of Farrer. You know, they said One Nation was a party of grievance, a party of protest, a party that would always be on the fringe. They said we were racist, illegitimate and divisive. They said we might get this odd Senate seat, but never win a seat in the House of Representatives. But then something happened in South Australia a few weeks ago. The state's political landscape was reshaped by a One Nation earthquake. We won as many seats as the Liberals and smashed their primary vote. We achieved massive swings in safe Labor seats and made them marginal. We demonstrated we could convert our surge in the polls into votes. They panicked, then suddenly realised One Nation was a real chance in the Farrer by-election and did everything they could to stop us. They spent a fortune, they created attack websites and social media accounts. They put up billboards all over the electorate. They bullied our volunteers. They ran dozens of hit pieces in the media, and there was a lot of cheap mud raking. Well, the people of Farrer have sent a loud strong message. I suspect it will fall on a lot of deaf ears. I want to congratulate David Farley on his stunning win in Farrer, and I'm pleased to acknowledge his presence in the Senate chamber today. David is a native Narrandera in the heart of the Murrumbidgee irrigation area, and David is going to be most welcome to work with the team, and I congratulate David on his win.